Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. It's been a while since I provided an update on what's happening in the trial of SBF scam bank run fraud. Turns out that he may end up being in prison for a good 50 years or so. In fact, look at this headline from the New York Post. Sam Bankman-Fried deserves 40 to 50 years in prison for FTX fraud. Prosecutors. So that's what they're saying. Now, in theory, it could be what is effectively a life sentence. It could be over 100 years. But on the flip side, I'm going to share with you perspective from somebody who is in the know, who says, actually, what's most probable is he's going to get a much lighter sentence, which I hope is not true. But there's actually a chance he could get a rather light sentence compared, anyway, to what the prosecutors are looking for. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so what's going on in the life of this cucumber-eating son of a bitch? Sam Bankman-Fried should spend between 40 and 50 years in prison after being convicted for stealing $8 billion from customers of his now bankrupt FTX cryptocurrency exchange, prosecutors said on Friday. A jury found Bankman-Fried, 32, guilty in November on 7 counts of fraud and conspiracy. Federal prosecutors in Manhattan said thousands of everyday people, including residents of war-torn and unstable countries, had entrusted their nest eggs to FTX. Even now, Bankman-Fried refuses to admit what he did was wrong. Prosecutors wrote that, so that was a quote, in a sentencing memorandum. His life in recent years has been one of unmatched greed and hubris, of ambition and rationalization, and courting risk and gambling repeatedly with other people's money. And that was a direct quote. So, and it is fascinating, like, what is the right word to describe this little butt nugget with a fro? I mean, I guess I'm being pretty good with descriptive attributes he has. Butt nugget with a fro, like, that's pretty spot on. Calling him a cucumber son of a bitch, that's just factually true. That's what he does. He likes the vegetables. So there's that. But, you know, it's kind of amazing to me that people like this exist. I understand nature produces humans like this. I get it. It's astonishing to me that they actually exist. Like, because this guy destroyed so many people's lives, not the tiniest bit of remorse. This guy's a damn sociopath or psychopath or something. I don't know. You tell me what the right word is for it. But this guy has something. This is not normal human behavior and response. And in fact, I'll show you this too. He's actually he's already trying to figure out how he wants to spend his situation in a favorable manner for him. It's just gross stuff here. Like, this is a disgusting, terrible human. This is an awful creature. I can only assume that nature accidentally produced this. How else do you explain it? Come on, this looks like some sort of made-up villain, right? Anyway, they are seeking $11 billion in forfeiture to account for losses FTX's investors and Alameda's lenders suffered as well. The former billionaire's lawyer, Mark Mukasey, told U.S. District Judge Lewis Kaplan that a 5.25 to 6.5 year prison term would be appropriate. Now, that's a joke. First of all, it's a joke because he was never a billionaire. He was a fake billionaire because it was all based on a Ponzi scheme, which means it was not real. He was never a billionaire. And then you're talking about on the high end 6.5 years? I'm genuinely curious. Do his lawyers think that that's something that's going to fly? I mean, it's better if they said, no, it should be zero. It should be zero. Well, at least they didn't do that. I have a hard time believing that the judge is going to look at them and be like, that does seem pretty harsh. Destroyed, crushed, many people's lives. $11 billion Ponzi scheme. 6 years. Yeah. No! That would be disgusting. And I don't think that's going to happen, although he may end up getting less than what people like me are hoping for. More on that in just a second. Anyway, piece continues though. Mark Botnick, a spokesman for Bankman-Fried, said Mukasey would file a response next week to prosecutors' memorandum. Kaplan is scheduled to sentence Bankman-Fried on March 28th in Manhattan federal court. Bankman-Fried plans to appeal his conviction and sentence. So we should know in about a couple weeks exactly what the sentence is, and he has every right to appeal, but I don't suppose it's likely to go well for him. His life, pretty much over. He is screwed, as he should be. He ruined other people's lives. And so here's a post on social media platform X from Jacqueline Malinik, senior crypto reporter over at TechCrunch, and she thinks that what's most probable is that Sam Bankman-Fried isn't going to get anywhere close to 50 years, unfortunately. She wrote the following: SBF sentencing is end of this month. Federal prosecutors want 40 to 50 years. SBF wants 5.5 to 6.5 years. I was at his trial every day and interviewed former Southern District of New York prosecutors. My educated guess? 30 years. It's not, folks, it's not nothing. I'll be glad that he's behind bars that entire time. I'll be extra happy every single day that I wake up because he destroyed people's lives and that's where he deserves to be. This guy is a monster. He has no remorse. He doesn't care. He's still fighting this. He plans to appeal. This guy sucks donkey balls. So 30 years, I'm glad it's not nothing. It's not like 6 years. I don't think that's sufficient, personally. Anyway, then she writes, I've been told that Judge Kaplan doesn't typically like to put young, white-collar criminals behind bars forever. You can have your own opinions on that. I'm just stating what those who have worked with him have said. So yes, it's highly unlikely he gets the full sentence of 110 years. SBF is 32 now, so if I'm right, 30 years, give or take, is most of the remainder of his life anyways. I don't think it will be at the same level as Madoff. He was older when he defrauded investors, but I think it'll be long enough to make an example of SBF and his crimes, even if he'll still get to potentially get to have a bit of life outside of jail decades later. And so it'd be somewhat disappointing if it were only 30 years, but as she points out, that's almost all of his life anyway, so there's some satisfaction in that. But I don't see how a monster like this, who clearly has no remorse, like there's something in the way that he's wiring that's just way off. I don't see why he should even be a part of society outside. I just don't see why he should be. It doesn't make any sense. And no remorse? 30 years does not seem like enough. It just doesn't. And again, if that's what he gets, if he actually gets 30 years, well, okay. It's not nothing. It's definitely not nothing. 3 decades and he's already 32. Yeah, okay. But we'll see what happens. But take a look at this. Sam Bankman-Fried's bankruptcy narrative revealed in new court documents. This is gross stuff. U.S. prosecutors have filed new court documents revealing Sam SBF Bankman-Fried's plans to restore his public image after the collapse of FTX in 2022. Look at what, you got to see this. Look at what he was doing. This is absolutely disgusting. And to be clear, this is who he is as a person. He's always going to be trying to spend stuff. He's always going to be trying to trick people. Like, that's not going to... This is who this person is. According to a Google document attached to the government sentencing memorandum filed on March 15th, Bankman-Fried listed 19 random, probably bad ideas, and that's a quote, intended to change the social media narrative of the crypto exchange's dramatic downfall. The ideas included initiatives such as go on Tucker Carlson, come out as a Republican, leaking, and this is, by the way, after he donated, like, I can't remember the figures now, but just a ridiculous amount of money to the Democrat Party. He's just going to come out as a Republican. What? Like, who's even buying that? Anyway, leaking documents to the press, criticizing lawyers, and being seen as extremely pro-crypto, pro-freedom, along with promoting a strong anti-Binance message. What the hell is wrong with this guy? My God. This is a monster of a human. He destroyed people's lives. Absolutely he did. I have no sympathy for this person. And I use the term person in this situation, reluctantly, let's say. Maybe the judge will surprise us and it'll get, 50 years plus, maybe 100 years. That'd be fantastic. But, I don't know, Jacqueline Malinik, she's in the know. She has a better sense of, what's happening on the ground there. 30 years. I know it's not nothing, but that would be a little bit disappointing. You guys just tell me what you think here. But that's the latest on what's going on here. As new stuff comes out on this story, I'll be happy to cover it. Certainly, I'll be covering when the news breaks regarding the sentences for sure. I'm going to cover that. I don't know if there's going to be much in the interim, but if something pops, of course, I'll talk about it. But, for most of the last, say, half year, there hasn't been that much to cover on this, so I haven't been talking about it too much. But this is the latest, and we'll just have to sit tight and see what happens. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.